A huge day today talking about the Bo Horvat trade. We're going to get into Tom Brady's retirement as well. A lot of things happening as we unpack them this week. Things seem to be happening every single day. We're getting new stories around the sports world, and it's very exciting for us to be looking into these things as they come. Of course, we just watched the NFC and AFC playoff championship games over the past weekend. We've got NHL All-Star weekend coming up. Today's the last game of the NHL regular season before the All-Star break. Just over the halfway mark. We also have the Pro Bowl happening in the NFL later. And basketball's rolling along, so everything's going great as we kind of unpack what's going on. But yeah, huge news. Monday night, Bo Horvat gets traded to the New York Islanders. A lot of people were expecting him to go. And it's fair to say that he needed to go somewhere that could afford him. A team that's not headed in a certain direction or perhaps the trajectory that the Canucks are headed. Which so far, ever since Rick Tocchet has been named the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, a lot of changes have been made. We've seen we knew this. There was an accountability that needed to be taken into consideration after Jim Rutherford said that major surgery was needed for the Vancouver Canucks, and Bo Horvat going, Bruce Boudreau going. These things were part of them, you know. And Ilya Mikheyev also not being taken into consideration as much as perhaps he wanted to be. Injury plaguing him, team perhaps not handling it as well. We saw all this as well with Tanner Pearson. So there has been a lot of disgruntlement within the organization. I have a feeling that a lot of players are not seeing things being done as well as they probably could have been. And I'm sure that's what Bo Horvat feels, because he is thinking that this is something where he should have had more say in, perhaps. He didn't see this, I'm sure, saying that he wanted to be a Canuck for his whole life. Probably was something that he was thinking about as the season began. But perhaps in the last month or so, he had been thinking that, yes, this is something that's very inevitable, and it's not going to go away because the team is not changing. And if we want change, we're going to have to then change ourselves. That is exactly what management decided. Captaincy has not been acquired by either Pettersson or Hughes, most likely to go. We're also seeing that perhaps other players are going to go. But this is the biggest move. This is the beginning, because the trade deadline is approaching. And I want teams to go to this All-Star break with a little bit of hope, with a little bit of peace. But some of them are thinking, well, I mean, perhaps Bo Horvat now, he's thinking that, well, I can relax because I know where I'm going. I don't have to worry too much. But this is where the bar is going to be set. So Bo Horvat, he's traded for a conditional, first-round pick, along with Anthony Beauvillier and Atu Ratu, who is a prospect for the Islanders. I think that the Islanders, they want to make some noise. You want to pretend that you're a contender, but the Islanders have not been that team. It's been very confusing because we've got Ilya Sorokin, who's been playing an outstanding season so far. I mean, his stats and his numbers look great, but the team isn't winning collectively. There isn't that homogenous identity to win, to be a contender. They're not even in a playoff spot, and here they are. They're adding Bo Horvat, expecting something to come from this, which isn't necessarily fair from Horvat's perspective. I don't think that there's a whole lot on his shoulders because he doesn't have to do a whole lot here. He is going to get paid. He's going to have 50 goals this season. He is the one that doesn't have all this pressure, because the problem is the Islanders, to me, they're not a convincing team to make a splash in a very competitive Eastern Conference. They might be able to get into the wild card, but do they have the better odds going up against a team like the Florida Panthers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Washington Capitals, and you can throw in the Buffalo Sabres in there, who have been having a very successful last month or so and have been scraping points together to get ahead of the Islanders. The standings is going to be a huge clash in the East. They might not be able to get into the wild card because of all of these teams that are in their way. And so we don't even know. We can't assess how good this team is going to be unless they get into the playoffs first. And that is the biggest thing. That's how we are going to be able to gauge the success of this trade with Bo Horvat. Either way, the man is getting paid, whether New York pays him, that will be determined on team success. He doesn't have to do anything else anymore. I think from the Canucks' point of view, they should have asked for a second. I would personally prefer a second and a first and a prospect instead of Anthony Beauvillier and a first and a prospect. Because to me, there's a lot more potential. Anthony Beauvillier was a great player a few years ago when he was scraping together 20-goal seasons a little bit more consistently. And yes, he's still young and he has a lot of potential. But to me, I would have preferred a second-round pick because there's more potential in a second-round pick. And it's quite something to witness, being in the Canucks market, seeing how cutthroat and reckless it is. We expect more than we should be getting because the Canucks have been having a very difficult last decade trying to rebuild and getting rid of our captain. I mean, I've been saying it for the last few months. I feel like we got to keep Pettersson. We got to keep Thatcher Demko and Elias Pettersson. Those three are the bedrock. Got to keep them together, keep them close, rebuild, get draft picks, open up cap space, turn our liabilities into assets, meaning get rid of our liabilities, and relax for now because there's nothing that we can do except what Jim Rutherford is doing, which is getting picks and players to open up cap space because we just cannot afford Bo Horvat right now, okay? That is the matter of the issues here. So, in the NFL world, we've got Tom Brady retiring. He announced his retirement today. I was trying to figure out where he was exactly. He was on a beach somewhere. He had big skyscrapers in the background. 5 a.m. it said on his Twitter account. I mean, to me, the buildings and the beach, to me, it looked like Brazil, like Sao Paulo or something like that. But that, I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe he's in Europe somewhere where it's more like midday because it looked like midday. So 5 a.m. He's away somewhere, given a couple of weeks to think about what he wants to do. If he wants to come back next year, people are expecting him to because he already announced his retirement this time last year. And it's been weighing on the minds of a lot of people who want to know, hey, I mean, we need a quarterback, so can we please get you for another year? Because clearly you want to keep playing. You decided to come out of retirement. And this isn't something that we should be taking lightly because he had to go through a lot just to come back again. But I think his mindset, first of all, I think Tom Brady is going to retire. Unless he has any more chats with fellow superstars around the sports world. Last year he was talking to Ronaldo, and there was a video of him chatting with Ronaldo, and I'm pretty sure that has nothing to do with it. Brady wanted to come back on his own accord, but Michael Jordan came out of retirement twice, and if he's chatting away with MJ, I'm sure Brady will. You never really know until time elapses, and the window is closing, and a lot of people would consider Brady's window had closed. Last year, it did make a lot of sense that he should retire. But I was watching the game against the Cowboys, and I was just keeping track of each passing yard, each passing completion attempt, every moment he was on the field because I knew that this might be the end, And that's what I wanted to witness this season. I wanted to witness him, greatness, because I haven't been witnessing him my whole life. And there's a lot of people that probably watched his first game with the Patriots or his first season or whatnot, right? But I think that his mindset is what sets him apart. You have to be a killer. You have to be locked in. The cost is great. No simple man can walk this road. It comes at a great cost with sacrifice. To come in time and time again and battle your opponent. To never quit. If this was a game where the players had more control, Brady would be out there until the final horn. But you can't. As a quarterback, you have to sit on the sidelines and watch your defense play. And when you're out there, You have to give it all that you can. You put it in the air. You make a play. You create something. But after that, once the ball is in the air, the chips fall where they may. And there isn't much that football players can do in terms of winning except for play their position and play to the best of their abilities. And he did that for the best possible chances that any team could ever have at winning a Super Bowl as much as he did and the teams that he was on. As long as he could, and winning is very important. So, mindset, determination, to go out there, give it all, everything that you can to compete no matter what. We knew this retirement was coming. We knew that he would be hanging up his cleats, and he will be remembered for being an inspiration and an iconic presence, to have been through it all and to come out on top with 7 championships, to not call it quits until he decides it on his own terms. And that is exactly what he wants to do, and probably what he wants to be remembered for as well. So, man, we're here for the next generation, and that is what we're going to be taking in. And, God bless Brady and whatever he plans on doing next. I know he has a Fox broadcasting, probably going to be doing some broadcasting with Fox there. He already signed a deal of sorts, but this was like a couple years ago, so we'll have to see what he does in the immediate future as far as media presence and impact into the world. What he's going to do next, I don't think it's gonna stop. He's not going to go out silently, because football will and forever be a part of his life. That's something that we can all appreciate for sure, having been blessed to watch him.